Hello, 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 beautiful people. It is Coach Tiff here from Lit Productions, and we are here for another one, right? We are here for the Pathway to Purpose series. If you're new to this series, we started this in January, and I just started interviewing different women of faith, different women from different backgrounds, about their professional experiences and some of the things that they have went through, and just asking questions to kind of help us, all of us, right, on our road, and our journey of purpose, if you want to say, or just like the road and the things that come up when you are unpacking and discovering yourself, when you are growing, right? So that's the purpose of this series. And today I have the honor and the privilege to speak with Claire, the creator of Homegrown Creative Studios. So I'm going to bring her on and let her introduce herself to you guys. And then we'll get started for today's topic. And our topic today is the power of your personal brand. The power of your personal brand. So Claire, whenever you're ready, just go ahead and request to join and we'll get started. Hey, hey, hey. And if you need help, if you need me to send you a request, Claire, just let me know in the comments. So we're talking the power of your personal brand. Here she go. Here she go. The anticipation. Here we go.
Hello.
Hey Claire, how's it going?
Hi. Good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I feel very mellow now. Like
Oh,
I've been up
good.
early, so I feel like now I got my coffee.
Oh, good. You're feeling good?
Yes. So
Oh, nice.
Claire, before we get started, can you tell people a little bit about who you are and Homegrown Creative Studios?
Sure. So like Tiff said, my name is Claire. I live in Missouri, in the Ozarks, if anybody out there knows, or anybody in the area, hey. So I've worked in the design industry for a number of years. And in 2020, I started my own business, Homegrown Creative Studios. Um,
Yes.
I've always had, a passion for design. Um, I think I've always loved the idea of serving others and using my skill to help others. So I'm really passionate about working with fellow female, entrepreneurs.
Hmm.
Because I just feel like, working with women, you help a woman, you help the entire community.
Yes.
So I felt like that was, a good way to go. So yeah, and I love working with female, small female businesses. And I just enjoy like the one-on-one time. Like, we work together, um, and we spoke, I think, almost every week, just catching up and, and I love that aspect of my business. Yeah.
Yes. So I will give you some props because she's very humble right now, but Claire's amazing. She's amazing. She's definitely gifted. And I met Claire the beginning of 2020. Was that 2020 or 20? It was 2021 when we got
2021.
started.
Yeah,
Yes,
2021. Yeah.
2021. So I met her January 2021 and I knew it was time for a rebrand. I was doing everything by myself and I am not a web designer, so it was looking real home crafty type of vibes. And I knew that it was time for me to get clear on how I wanted to position myself in the market, how I wanted to position myself to potential clients, and I needed to package lit. And I wasn't even thinking about all the things that we actually ended up working on. I was just thinking about a website redo, right? Like a website revamp. But from that meeting in January, we ended up literally working together the entire year and building the lit community from the ground up. So she's sweet and kind, but she knows her stuff, right? Because I literally watched her build this entire community, and so we got to say like what we wanted it to feel like, what we wanted it to people to experience when they came into the space. from the colors to the fonts to everything. So this is a really big deal, building a brand, right? It's
It
like
is.
you would say like your essence, your vibe, what you want to translate to your customer, and it takes thought. It
It does.
takes intention, right?
It really
Um,
does.
yeah. And so I wanted to give that, that intro to you because I couldn't have done that on my own. And it just helped that I think the my favorite thing about you is the twofold. One, that you are really excellent at design, right? Like you are a web designer, right? But also you have that component to you where you genuinely care about your clients, you genuinely care about women. So that partnership, I feel like just makes your brand just everything. Homegrown
Thank
Creative
you.
Studios.
Thank you
So
so
I want to
much.
give you that shout out. So
You're
now
too kind.
let's get into the interview, Claire, for the people. What is a brand?
So, I mean, like you said, a brand is more than a logo. I think people really need to understand that. So, a brand is, it's a way a person or a product or a person, is perceived by those who experience it.
Mm-hmm.
It's how your assets invoke a certain emotion. It's how, you make people feel when they buy your stuff. Or
Yeah.
like you said, the work that we did together, that's part of my brand. How I make
Right.
my female, clients feel
Mm-hmm.
during our phone calls, during feedback, when I present, how I make them feel. That's all part of my brand experience. Um,
Exactly. Right.
yeah, yeah. So I think it's important for people to understand that, you know, before the visuals, you need to kind of step back and look at yourself and look at your business and see,
Yeah.
who you are as a person, who you are as a business, what it is that you want to bring out into the world.
Yeah. I think that's so good. I think that's something that was unique to your experience as well. Like before we even got into it, it was a series like of questions and conversations to just for you to understand. Okay, Tiff, who are you? Who is Lit? Who is this for? What is this about? And I think so many of us think it's just like the image, and we
Yeah,
just run to the image part, but we don't think of I almost want to say like the soul of the business or the purpose, the why behind it.
exactly, exactly. Like I think
Yeah,
my tagline says, a soul for journey from start to finish. That's what you
yeah,
want you need to think about, okay, how, how are my clients or my audience, how are they experiencing my brand from the moment they find me on Instagram, you know, to the time they go onto my website and, to the time they book a service or buy a product. How does that look and feel um,
yeah,
for them? I think that's so important.
yes. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
So, so why is having a personal brand important? Why is this important?
I think the main thing, it allows you to build relationships. I think now more than ever, we're just searching for a connection and not just with, the people in our lives, but I think, what we surround ourselves with. So the products that we buy, the people that we work with, I think it's so important to build a strong connection. Um,
Yeah,
and I think it also helps, turning a follower into a loyal customer.
yeah.
Um, So I think it all goes down to creating a connection with people.
I love that. Create so a brand is important because it helps you create a connection. And then
A
we
connection.
started by saying, yeah, and we started by saying that your brand pretty much is your soul of your business. It's your why, it's your content. So
Exactly.
I have a reason why I'm showing up or I have this logo. When I show you this, I want you to resonate it with this type of relationship. That's really big.
That's
That's
big.
a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot different than just getting up and creating things or slapping things on, with no real meaning.
Yeah. And I think it keeps you motivated too. And I
Yeah.
think a brand reminds you of why you're doing this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like why are you showing up today? Um,
Yeah.
and I think it's important to know. And I think it also helps you like gain clarity and stay focused on your business. And like I think, you know, when we were both working on your brand, I think you had so many ideas. We were like, okay, we need to
Yeah.
hone in on, you know,
Yeah.
your one big idea and just go from there. I think that's, you know,
Yeah.
that's what we worked on too, is just, you know, gaining clarity for ourselves
Yeah.
and making sure that we're, you know, putting something out there that people care about and that, you know,
For
that'll, yeah,
sure. For
that'll
sure.
resonate with other people.
And that stays true to the brand identity, right? And that's the
Yes.
next question is, what is a brand identity? What is that?
So that is like the visual element of your brand. So that's like your logo, your color palette, your typography, the imagery. It's what makes you like recognizable to your audience and, you know, to the customers out there. But I think it's important to know before you start all of that, before you start the visual aspect of your brand, you need to kind of step back and make sure, like I said before, know who you are, know what your business is, like your mission statement, like what are your values, what is
Yeah.
your positioning in, you know, in your industry, how can you stand out. um,
Yeah.
I think you need to gather all of that information first, because, you know, the brand identity is what reinforces, you know, all of that.
Yeah. For sure. Now that totally makes sense. Like in business, but some of us like me, right? You may be like a visionary, or you may just like be like an artisty type, a creative type. And so for you, it's more of like an inspiration, right? So you just kind of out here and you're creating things. And I think for authenticity, I think that's okay. But I think that what you're saying, I learned that go through that process so you can identify who you actually are and
Yes.
who you're creating this for, right? Versus, I think sometimes we may look at other people and look at competitors and think, oh, I need to do it like this, or oh, it should be like this, instead of staying true to your unique mission, your unique voice. And I think before you can stay true to it, you have to identify what it is,
Yes.
right?
Yes. I like how you're saying staying true to yourself, because I think, you know, buyers now, you know, they're very savvy. We, you know, I think we can fish out who is not authentic, and that is so important nowadays.
Right.
Especially among like the younger generation, like the Gen Z generation. It's all about being authentic, being yourself.
Right.
Um, so that, I feel that that is so important. So before you go through you know, the visual aspect, really get to know your brand, your business. Um, and then from there, we can create something that is an extension of you,
Yeah.
and something that, you know, will target your audience.
I think you also taught me too, like, um, you're also building for your audience.
Yes,
So, so you need to be mindful of how they're going to perceive it and if this is what they need, right?
exactly.
So,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
don't
And
skip the work.
no, don't skip the work. Do your research, research. Yeah.
Yeah. So that brings us to our next question. How does this brand identity empower the brand's voice?
So, like I said, I mean, your brand identity is just an extension of you and the extension of, you know, all the research that you've done, and it reinforces what it is that you're trying to say. Um,
Mhm.
so if you think about, if your style of communication is fun and playful, then, you know,
Yeah.
your brand may lean towards a more colorful and bright color palette.
Yeah.
Your font choices, maybe a bold typeface, or a
Yeah.
scripted typeface.
Yeah.
Or if you're more intellectual, then the colors may be a little bit more muted. Your
Yeah.
font may be like a classic typeface, like New Times Roman, or something like that. So
Yeah.
understanding your voice, and your tone, is so important, because then your brand, the visual side of the brand will reflect that.
Exactly. It makes me think of, okay, say I'm opening a spa, but the colors in the spa are like neon green or red,
Yeah,
or the music is like really, really loud. It's like it's clashing.
it's clashing.
Um,
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's clashing what the purpose is, or what the, and if I want to do something like that, like, do you like to relax and, be high energy? Then I need to attach that messaging. But if I'm not clear, my people can miss me, right? It's like
Exactly.
I'm not resonating with what you're putting out there. I think that for me was the funnest part for me as like an entrepreneur, creative, to see you take what we talked about and like put the fonts to it and the colors, and like to see that, just the mock-up of that was like, that's crazy,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
And
It's amazing to
I
see
think
how you can translate that.
partnerships,
Yeah.
yeah, seeing how you can translate that. And I think partnerships, and not being afraid to share your vision with people, especially people who are professionals and know what they're doing in that arena, just can take your brand to a whole nother level, versus you trying to um, understand everything in your head. Like, no, that's no good, right?
Yeah,
Share the
you need to
vision
share
and
it.
put it in the hands with somebody who actually knows what to do with it, and it'll just take it to a place you never could imagine it being.
And I think sometimes, your idea, like, it's just too close. Like, you just
Yeah.
don't have the ability to kind of like step back and kind of see the whole picture. Sometimes you just need that partner to just kind of be like, okay, let's look at it as a whole. I'm not close to it. I can look at it. Um, and I think sometimes it can be hard to be critical too,
Mhm.
sometimes you have to be. You can be like, okay, this is not, as much as I love it, it's not working.
It's not
Um,
working.
I need to change something. Um, so I
Just
think,
having
yeah,
that extra set of eyes to say,
exactly.
because also we're talking about brand development, but you're also a web developer. So another really cool part to me of the process was seeing how the visuals in this idea actually was built using technology, right? And maybe
Yeah,
my idea of something functionally just wouldn't work, or it had to be shifted, and just making room for that.
yeah.
And yeah, that part was fun too.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
Yeah, I love it when, an idea kind of comes to life and you see it
yeah,
working in the real world. Yeah,
yeah,
that's my
yeah,
favorite.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So how do brands help businesses connect with who they serve? I think we kind of touched on
We
that, but
kind of touched on
um,
it, but I
yeah,
think, with a brand, it kind of helps you. Well, a good brand strategy can kind of help you tap, into your potential market. I think
uh-huh,
understanding your audience, like their lifestyle and their interests, and when and how they respond to like your marketing tactics. I
yeah,
think that's how, brand strategy can really help you connect in that way. The
yeah,
more you know and the more you understand about your audience, um, the more you're able to deliver for them. Um, and obviously, they'll turn from a loyal follower to a client or a customer. Um,
yes.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So I think it's just
I
getting
love it.
understanding of your market. Yeah,
Yeah. But I think it also gives you a face, right?
it
It
does.
gives you something where people can say, "Oh, I resonate with that."
Exactly. Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Especially like on Instagram, like just even doing this,
Yeah.
I think it's important for people to kind of know the face behind the brand. Um, I don't think it was like that many years ago, but I think now with like social media, like people, video their entire life really.
Right.
And I think so, a lot of, people expect that now. They want to see behind the scenes. They want to see how you build a website, you know.
Yeah.
They want to
Yeah.
see how you put a logo, how you create a logo and customize it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's really important that, you know, people kind of get to know not just the businesswoman, but the mother or the
Who you
wife or
are.
the dog mom or, you know,
Exactly. Who
yeah,
you are
yeah,
and where you're coming from.
yeah,
Okay. So our next question is, why is design and function important? We kind of touched on this one too already, but if you want to
yeah.
add anything.
I mean, I think we all want like a beautiful brand, you know, and we all want it to be aesthetically pleasing and we want people to love it. But I think like at the heart of like every practical design, whether it be like a website or packaging or I don't know, a book cover, you know, there's a function to it. Like, you know, it has a task to do. And if it doesn't
Yes.
perform that task, then you know it's not doing its job. So
Mm,
you could have a pretty website, but if people are going on there and they're not buying your product, it's
yeah.
not performing its tasks. So I
Yeah.
think, you know, it's kind of like, I guess, like putting lipstick on a pig. You know, you want it to, you know, you want it to work. You want it, you know, not just to be pretty, but, you know, you really got
Yeah.
to make it functional and you got
You
to
want
make
it
it
to be
work for you.
functional.
Yeah.
Yeah, functional. That takes me back to when we were talking about your brand identity is pretty much like the soul of this face, right? So it's who you are behind what people see. And if those things don't connect, then your messaging is not going to translate, right? So
Right.
I think understanding the work behind both and then also the work of the business owner to do their job too, which is, be
Exactly.
introducing yourself and trying to connect with people, is all working together, right?
Yeah. I think, you know, you can have a beautiful brand identity and a pretty logo, but what's going to really take it far and propel it out there is the work that you do behind the scenes. Um,
Yes.
I think that's what people need to understand is that, you know, a pretty logo is not going to help you sell out your products. You're going to have to put in the work.
Mhm.
You're going to have to market it. You know what I mean? You're going to have to use that brand identity to
Yes.
create your marketing strategy.
Mhm.
Um, So I think people need to know that, you know, there's a lot of work going on behind the scenes to make sure that, you know,
It's,
it's an success, you know, a successful brand. Yeah.
yes, yes, yes. Okay, so what are the top three steps in developing a brand?
I think the first one is to know who you are. Know who you
Ooh.
are, know what your business is and what your business stands for.
Mm.
I think that is number one. And then number two, I think, would be to take that and to develop a plan, you know,
Yeah.
develop a strategy, a business plan, a marketing plan, use that, you know, and develop, you know, the plan. And then I think the third one would be the brand identity. You know,
Yeah.
once you've formulated a plan, now we can create the brand identity um, that'll help you move the brand forward.
That's really, really good. And like on a practical note, it makes me think of like, okay, if we're talking about a personal brand, right? Like, let's just even scale it down to when we say personal brand, when you meet people, like your initial introduction to someone, right? So
Exactly.
somebody may wear like hot pink lipstick and have like, spiky hair. It may like be really, really loud. And so, okay, people are perceiving them to be something. Somebody may look at them and
Right.
say, wow, she's cool.
Yeah, she's
Somebody else may say,
confident, or you know,
yeah,
she's
she's
yeah,
confident. She's bold. Somebody else may say, ooh, too much, not for me.
yeah,
Right? And that's okay. As long as this person is being true to who she is and owning it, the right people, places, things, opportunities will be drawn to her because she's being authentic to her. Right?
exactly. And
So,
it'll be the people that she wants to be drawn to
yeah,
her, and yeah, it'll be her tribe.
exactly.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. so we don't want to necessarily um make ourselves be something to fit in with others. We want to start with, I love how you said that. Be true to you. Be clear on your values, be clear on why you're showing up, and then have a plan of how you're going to show up,
Yeah. And I
right?
think people will be drawn to that. The right people will be drawn
Yeah.
to that, you know, to who you are. Um, I think that is so important.
Yeah. I agree. I think that is super important, especially in the world of business and in the world of competition, in the world of, all these different things going on. You have to be okay with being you,
Yeah.
and you
And
have
in
to
your
be,
personal life too, you know,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah,
for
not just
sure.
in business, but just, yeah, in life in
Yeah,
general. I think
yeah,
it's so
for sure.
important. Yeah.
I agree. So this is our last question, Claire. What are some details that people often miss in establishing their brands?
I think would be like the first one when I said knowing, you know, in developing your brand, I think it would be knowing who you are. I think people kind of miss that step. I think they have a general idea of what they want to do and they try and go forth. Um,
Yeah,
but I think starting up with, you know, why do I want to start this business? Who do I want
yeah,
to serve? Why do I want to serve these people? I
yeah,
think that's something I feel like some brands miss.
yeah,
Um, and with that, I think it also kind of snowballs down to you not, you know, you not knowing who to market to. Um,
yeah.
you know what I mean?
Sometimes that's the hardest thing to identify, especially if you don't really have business training. Like you don't really know nothing about business, and people are asking you, "Who's your target market? Who do you serve?" Or I don't know. Sometimes it's like, and this is just my experience, authentically, before I ever tried to package anything, I was very clear about who I was. I was very clear about who I served, but innately, but I never had to identify it, right? So in
Right.
business, it's different because, but I think you onto something, Claire, when you say I think it's the same in life too, because there's some type of power in being able to clearly identify, right? Not just who you are, but why you're here, what you're coming to do, who you're coming to serve. And I
Right.
think a lot of, maybe, I don't know, let me know in the comments or if you watch the replay, but I think a lot of up and coming business owners or, leaders, whatever you are, because we all need personal brands. We're people, right?
That's true.
I think we get lost because we never really had to identify it, and then when we're confronted with having to identify it, we kind of get lost,
We
right? And it's
do.
like,
We
I don't
do.
know, you know
And I think,
women.
yeah. And I
You
think for
know?
me too, like I'm also a business owner, so I also had to go through this process.
Yeah,
Um, and when I started my business, I was just like, I'm gonna work with women. I knew that already, and I knew why. Um,
right.
but then I was like, you know what? I think I'm like niching down further, and I think I'm
Mm-hmm.
really drawn to like health and wellness brands. Um,
Ah,
and I find like your brand, I think it falls into the wellness. You know, you're building a
yeah.
community. You
Mm-hmm.
know, you're providing emotional support for women.
Right.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I think I just kind of feel like that just resonated with me. Um,
Yeah,
and that's who, you know, I want to work with.
yeah,
Um, so for me, you know, with my own brand, it did take me time because I knew I wanted to work with women, but then I was like, okay, I mean, that's still very, very broad, you know.
yeah,
So I had to kind of look at it again and say, okay, I know I want to work with women, but what type of women? What do these
yeah.
women do? How do these women serve, you know? Um, because for me, you
Ah,
know, it's taking your skills and serving others and helping others. You know, that's what homegrown is all about.
right.
So it was important that the women I work with.
I think we lost your audio. Oh, you back.
Oh, sorry. Did I cut out? I think my
Yeah, you back
AirPod.
now.
Okay, good. I think my AirPod died. Um, I think sharing that, if it's important for me that my clients kind of share that vision.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I like that you clarified that because okay, we may not know exactly our niche because what I see is people, it's just my experience with talking to people, is like they get freaked out when they're made to have to niche down. And
It's scary.
I always kind of fight against that because I feel like that niching down part maybe will come through the experience that you gain, right? This is just my input because I can make up something and say, but if I'm not connected to it, it's not really real, right?
Right.
So I need to, for myself, do enough work to where authentically it's niching down because this is where my work is leading me, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And I think that kind of
Yeah.
happened for me too. Because
Yeah.
like I said, I started out with just women, like all female businesses. And then, I started working with more, the wellness and the health industry. Um, and I was like, oh, okay. I'm getting, a lot of business from this type of industry. And I was like, I really enjoy it. Not to
Yeah.
say, like, if an interior designer came to me and said, can you help me out? I wouldn't say, absolutely not.
Right.
You're not in the wellness industry. I'm not going to work with you. Um,
Right.
but I think that's just where my business is coming from. And that's, you know, um,
That's interesting because say if you would put say if in your title of your business you said helping wellness women ran wellness companies build websites, right? So then you're blocking out, not necessarily because I mean if I
not
really want to work with you,
necessarily, but I mean, it's a
yeah,
huge industry though.
yeah,
It's a
yeah,
massive industry. And when these businesses see, okay, you work in the wellness industry, you know how a nonprofit website should function.
right,
You know, kind of the aesthetic for a nutrition coach or a spiritual life coach, or, you
yeah,
kind of have an idea of the direction I already want to go in already. Um,
yeah,
so I think it can help you hone in on that audience. Um, and they will see you as an expert in that particular field,
facts.
which is important.
Yes. But I think for people's peace of mind and sanity, don't jump to be the expert if you're not yet.
Exactly.
Go,
Yeah. Yeah.
start where you are.
Yeah.
Maybe you starting off and you're saying my target market is women, and that is broad because it's all kind of women.
Yeah.
But you'll learn as you go who your ideal person is because that's the person who's authentically drawn to you and who you are authentically drawn to.
Yeah.
And then you can hone in and build from there.
Yeah.
Um,
And I think it
yeah,
also gave me time to figure out who I loved working with,
yeah,
and the projects that I was really, really passionate about. Not that I didn't enjoy working with, women in other industries. I loved it, but I just, when I was working on a particular project, I kind of felt that passion and the desire. You know what I mean? Like I just felt really,
yeah,
really passionate about it. Um,
yeah.
so yeah.
That's the soul. That's
Yes,
soul.
that's
That's soul.
soul. Yeah, yeah,
The brand identity. That's going to keep you going, and it's going to allow your right ideal clients to be attracted to you because
yeah.
you are. What are we all looking for? That purpose, right? That sweet spot.
Exactly.
Um, so yeah, I don't know. Do you have any other closing remarks? Those are all of our interview questions. But did you have any like maybe thing you wanted to end us with?
Um, I don't know. This is my first live, so I've never
Yeah.
been like,
Yay!
oh yay!
Yeah.
I popped the Instagram live cherry. I don't know, just continue doing what you're doing, continue doing what you love.
Yeah.
Um, I think just I don't know. Is that a good ending? Probably a
It's a
terrible
good
ending. Probably
ending.
a terrible.
No, no. It was a good ending. I love that. You said a couple of things that I love. You said stay true, continue to do what you're doing, continue to do what you love. So I feel like somebody said you're doing great. She is doing
Yeah.
great. She is doing great. I think what I got from that is that when it's time to go to the brand development stage, like when it's actually time to get the logo and those things, you will know,
Yes.
right? I
Yes.
feel
Don't
like you
jump the
will,
gun. You will know. Um,
yeah,
I think it's important, like I said, get to know yourself, get to know your business,
mhm,
come up with a marketing, business
yeah,
plan, get your ideas, turn them into goals.
yeah,
I mean, and that's something like we worked on too. Like, before I
yes.
design anything, I always start with strategy.
Tell them about your process before you go and where they can connect with you.
Sure.
So
Um,
tell them from start to finish.
Start to finish.
Hmm.
So with my branding projects, like I said, we always start with strategy.
Uh-huh.
So we look at your USP, we look at your target audience. We really kind of go into the nitty gritty, understanding your values, your mission, um, looking at your competitors. So we
Okay.
really like to start with strategy. And I usually do that over a Zoom, over a call. So it's like probably like 1 to 2 hours of just kind of going through that strategy.
Mhm.
And once we do all of that, I take that information, I continue with my research, and I come back with a brand strategy guide. And that's yay! And
That
that's
made me
something
so
like,
happy.
yeah, and then that's something for you to keep because, like I said, um, branding is important because it helps you gain clarity and it keeps you focused. So
Yeah.
that's always something for you to turn to when you're coming up with, content for social
Mhm.
media,
Mhm.
or and all that good stuff. So then I use that brand strategy to create your brand identity. Um,
Yes.
yeah, so it's logos, and not just one logo. We like to have a number of logos because these days, I mean, we've got a number of different screen sizes, you've got packaging, you've got billboards, so we want to make sure that we have the right logo for the right asset. So we have
Yeah.
logo, color palette, a font system, visual imagery or graphic elements if there needs to be. Um, and so, yeah, I create a brand identity, I help with imagery, um, and then I kind of
It's a
package.
full on
It's a
service. Okay.
full service. I'm,
It's like
I'm
a
with you
full
from like the
process.
beginning to the end.
Yeah.
Um, right at the end when we launch and launch graphics, um, and then collateral if you need business cards or
Yeah.
web design, um, packaging design, you know, digital, PDFs and so on. So yeah, I'm here for all of that. Yeah, all your needs.
I don't know if you're offering this service yet, but she built a community space. So
Yes, yes. So if you need a membership built on Squarespace,
mhm.
I also, also do that.
It's so pretty.
Yes, 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 yes. So yeah, and I think I just launched a new offer. So I now do 1 week design intensives. Um,
Okay.
it's not as labored as my other, like as my brand strategy um, service. It's just, me and the client for a week. We
Mhm.
get really close, and we create the brand identity or like a semi customized website
Okay.
in a week.
Okay.
I think the main purpose for this offer is that I realize, some, new businesses who are in the business for maybe like the first year or
Okay.
they need to launch something quickly.
Yeah.
I think having that 1 week to kind of get everything done um, is a great opportunity for them. And just some people don't have the budget for high end design services. So this
Right.
kind of like fills the gap between like DIY Canva logo and like obviously design services that are on the higher end.
I
So
love that.
yeah, so a 1 week design pass with me to kind of get all your, all your design work done. And yeah, we get
Yes.
it done in a week.
Yay. So also clarifying your brand identity and doing the work also helps you create offers that actually meet the needs of your clients, not just like throwing things up there and actually get the sales, right?
Yes.
Because you're creating things that your target audience actually needs.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. It's all
Yeah.
about, filling that need. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Service. That was one of your keywords,
Service.
service,
Yes.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I love this. This was so much fun,
Well,
Claire. I
thank you for
always enjoy
having
speaking
me.
with you. Of course. Thank you for agreeing to speak with me and speak with us. Somebody
You're
said thank
welcome.
you for the insightful information.
You're
So
welcome.
you guys please follow Claire at Homegrown Creative Studios. I'll be sure to tag her in the
Yes.
comments of this live.
And I've just
For
launched my new website, so go ahead and check my new website out. It has all my services and more information about me and my portfolio. So yeah, go check it out.
Yes, and hopefully maybe you can sign up for some of her services and her offers. You will not be disappointed at all. But for the takeaway, just remember to do the work. And as you do the work, everything generally will unfold. You are going to have to be intentional about asking some questions. You are going to have to get help. And I recommend getting help from somebody who actually knows what they're doing and have a track record in doing it, and have a love for doing it, right? So that can be felt
Yes.
through your brand, it can be felt through your offers. Yes, and until next time, continue to bloom wherever you're planted. How you already know by faith. Thank you,
Thank you
Claire.
so
Have a good
much.
one.
Thank
Yes, of
you.
course. Bye bye.
Bye. Bye.